In Midland, Texas. It's May 27, 2018. I think I got an incredible video I'm going to put here. I got a phone call a couple nights ago in the middle of the night, and I've hinted about it. It was really incredible. I've recorded that, and I'm going to play that now. It come in private, and so I can't confirm what that person said is being true or not. You have to decide that on yourself. I only speak for myself, but it's really incredible. I think there might be enough clues here that if legitimate law enforcement is involved here, that they can take this and unravel this whole thing. I mean, it's really incredible. I'm gonna call this video Dr. Stalker, and based on y'all might have seen on my Facebook, since last year the stalker started contacting me, and basically the story was I created a video called Killing One Homeowner After Another, and it was talking about Mike Lawhon, the previous homeowner that died a couple weeks before I bought this home. And his death certificate says he died in Fort Worth, but the neighbor said he died in this house. The Odessa American posted and said he died in Fort Worth, and they changed it and said he died at his residence. And so it's real obvious after everything that's happened to me, multiple people saying there's an underground facility, tunnels here, etc., that he was killed here and taken to Fort Worth. And so that's what that video, and so these people, these stalkers, whatever, they didn't like that video. They wanted, and so they turned me into Facebook, and they got me blocked for a week. I've only been blocked a few times because one thing I never do, and even in that, is I don't make accusations. I make observations and I ask questions. Okay, and so for me to say, I wonder if, that doesn't say this happened. Okay, there's a lot of difference in, I wonder if the chief of police is taking bribes and looking the other way while capital crimes are being committed against citizens. Well, I mean, it's true that I wonder that. It doesn't mean it's true that he's taking bribes. I mean, we don't know that. He probably got some legitimate reason. Who knows? Anyway, you get the point there that you always have to be cautious on, you said this. What I said was that it might have happened, could be, I think this, possible, check this, let's look at that. I'm real careful about doing that. So anyways, I want to get into this because it's 20-minute long phone recording that I recorded in the middle of the night, and we're going to hear it at the end. I'm gonna review the emails that I got. There was like 37 of them. This stalker is one of them psycho, relentless, obsessed, whatever, and very possibly, a killer, real possible. And he made up multiple names. You're going to see that, and just bizarre, and probably left so much evidence that there's a trail that leads back to him, and I'm going to show that. Is all we have to do is get legitimate law enforcement, and we might find the people that killed that girl in the underground facility, the people that shot me, people that probably killed Mike Lawhon, etc. And so I'm going to get started, and I'm going to turn this on, turn my phone around, or my camera around, so we can look at the computer so I can show you them emails. What I'm going to do is I'm going to upload them all to a photo album on Facebook, and that way you can come back and read them all, whenever you want. And because that way I don't have to read them all. I'm just going to hit the highlights to try to make it quicker, because like I said, the guy sent me 37 emails, and then he created more IDs, multiple IDs on Facebook, and he was all over the place. It's really amazing. You're just going to be amazed at what you see. So hold on a second. Okay, here we go. Starting back in September 14th of last year, 2017, and this come in almost midnight, 11:57, and it come in from a Keith Turman, and the email address was keithturmanlandman@gmx.com. I believe that this was a stolen email address, and we'll get into that in a minute, and I believe this is a real person, but the person sending it wasn't Keith, because we'll find out that Keith was in jail at the time. And so you can read this first one. Like I said, I'm going to upload all these emails, and so you can read them later and just hit the highlights of what I call the stalker, Dr. Stalker, told me. And basically he took credit for getting me banned off Facebook, and that was because of the video I made, Killing One Homeowner After Another. Okay, and he said, we're going to stop your every move from trying to prove your story. And then here was an interesting comment. The first time you and I crossed paths was at Wallace's Frost Top in the 80s. We've been watching you ever since. That's a little small hometown restaurant that people wouldn't know the name of. It's not a national restaurant. That's a little small fact that I believe it's true. Okay, so it looks like I have been stalked since the 80s, and I have reason to believe that is the case, and it's true. And so that is incredible in itself. And that's one reason that I pointed that out. Have a wonderful week off Facebook. His next one from this, there was only 2 emails from the same guy, and this one was on the 9/16. There was multiple emails that come in from other names, all from the same person, and it was on 9/16. We're going to see that. And basically, what happened was I was print screening. I wasn't on Facebook because I got booted off, but I was print screening it, sending it to my friend, and he was posting it to my Facebook, and that way people were seeing what the stalker was writing me, and that made the stalker mad, and all of a sudden his little friendly attitude changed, and then he got hateful, basically, because he figured out that what he was writing to me was showing up in public, and he never planned on that happening. And that's what this was about right here. And dude, you need to get alive, etc., whatever. I'm 34, and so he's saying he's 34, pretending he's be Keith, but he's not Keith. We find out because Keith's actually in jail. Okay, so that was another one of his lies. I've got these in an order, but I'm going to jump ahead here to the last one, and there's a reason I'm going to do that, because Dan Connor is, all these are the same person. Every one of them is. Buddy, first of all, I want you to know that over the last few days, everything that you have relayed to your friends to post all came from the same person. I made every single thing up. None of the people are real. And Keith Herman, I just pulled off the internet. I actually don't believe that. I believe he has some connection. I think he had Keith Herman's email address or email password. And you're going to hear me talk to Keith on the phone. That's what this is about. Keith called me, the real Keith called me on the phone the other night. And these were their names that emails come from. Mark P. Jones. I think that's probably a real person too, because he's got a P in the center. And that was before he got mad. And then once he got mad, he come up with, oh, I'll make up all these other IDs and pretend that it's all a lie. You know, he's trying to cover himself, basically. And then that's when this other one, Dan Connor and Teddy and George Washington and these other ones. And so I jumped ahead on that one. I thought this was real interesting. You do know that in order for it to be a felony, a judge has to decide that, not you, right? And so it's not murder unless his friend, the judge, says that. That's what he's saying, you know. I mean, we all thought murder was murder, but no, that dirty judge has to say that, you know. And so, anyways, I'm going to go down the list here. I did research on Keith Herman. Okay, this was the real Keith Herman. I think that's his picture at the time. There's his birthday, which might be interesting. He was a landman. I have other stories about landman because there's some of the suspects for the oil show parties. Remember, the girl was murdered in 2010, etc. And so, and you'll hear more about that on the phone call. Okay. I was Googling Keith Herman, found out he was a landman. Here's what was real interesting, though, on this one, is that in LinkedIn, you know, this is the LinkedIn site, there's a people also viewed. So people that looked at Keith Herman, the landman, also looked at Adolfo Baeza. Well, I looked at that and I thought, wow, that's interesting, because that is an FBI agent that quit the FBI that I talked to. And there's several in 2012. And there's several law enforcement officers that I talked to that I felt like should have done something and stopped these crimes years ago. And now they're working for oil companies and they quit law enforcement. And I believe this is one of them. And it's kind of interesting. Whoever was looking at Keith was also looking at Adolfo Baeza. Okay. And so I thought that was interesting. And then this was just found out there on the internet. Adolfo Baeza, 8 years as a police officer with the Midland Police Department, followed by 21 years as special agent with the FBI. And then after he talked to me and he seen all the proof of the secret police and heard the stories of the girl being murdered, he quit. Okay, that's kind of how I'm taking it. How you taking it? Okay. Next emails, 9:15. Okay, and so these started coming in after Keith's first email of this Mark P. Jones. Okay, And you can see it's a bunch of them, okay? And there's, like I said, altogether 37. I'm hitting the highlights. He wanted to meet me at the mall or the Hilton, and tried to hire me. I don't suppose we can recruit you as a headhunter. Like I said, these were all before I took his emails and had them posted on my Facebook, and then he got mad and he wasn't friendly no more. And then he's going, "Oh, you're crazy. I made it all up," and all that. But at the beginning, he's wanting to meet me and pay me and hire me and all that, you know. And basically, here we run the secret police, and you can come back and read over these, but he's staying at the Hilton under Sandman Jones. Is 9 o'clock all right, etc.? Okay. We will bring what we feel is owed as far as documents and financial payment for your troubles. I expect you will come along, you know. I had something told me that he wasn't going to bring $1 billion, though. And, you know, so, you know, I think I'm the one that's going to dictate what you know, being crippled for life and raping my daughter and, you know, and my mom dying under mystery circumstances and being terrorized every day for 7 years, you know, financial payment here, you know, and so I took all this and was posted on the internet. And that's when he got mad, you know, and once again he wanted to hire me. Okay, this was why I call him Dr. Stalker. Okay, two things. Kansas City Chiefs football team. That told me he was a Kansas City Chiefs fan. I found a Kansas City Chiefs cap under the cabinet I was shot from. It's posted on my Facebook. It's a major clue, and I know it was put there after I was shot. Whoever put concrete and covered that up, I must have left it there. And so I think this guy, you know, then I don't know if, you know, he's Mark Jones or not, Mark P. Jones, but I know law enforcement can go find out. All you got to do is go find out. But he's a Kansas City Chiefs fan, and I found a Kansas City Chiefs fan. Got a picture on my Facebook. Okay. The other thing he said, very interesting. I was going to medical school back in the early 70s after my time working overseas for a company during wartime. Okay. And that's where he was taught how to fake X-rays and whatever miniver bone structure looked different. Okay. And so here I've been saying all along, I have proof posted in public. They faked my X-rays and they tried to cut my leg off. They tried to dismember a crime victim. And before I was shot, the ex I was living with told me with 100% sincerity, the secret is a group of doctors are killing people for profit. And I think this statement right here was a real statement, just like Wallace's or whatever. And this guy is a doctor. That doesn't sound made up to me. And so you can later come back and read the rest. That's why I call it a Dr. Stalker. Okay, and so, okay, this has come off of Facebook, and this is after he got mad when I posted all of his stuff where he's going to pay me what and all that crap, and I had it posted on Facebook, and then you're a retard, and you're like, whatever, all this crap, and that's where he gets mad. But what can happen here is because Mark Jones has a Facebook that can be traced by law enforcement, okay? And so here's another one. He took my picture of my dad's funeral and was mocking it, and thinking that was funny, And here's effing batshit crazy, okay? This Mark Jones talking about me, posting a picture of me on the day of my dad's funeral. This guy is a lowlife, man. I mean, he is the lowlife of the lowlifes. And right here, law enforcement find out who he is, and he may be a killer, too. All right, here we go. All right, and here, and I don't know where you got that picture, but that picture might mean something to somebody. That was the Mark Jones profile, almost nothing on it. Once again, here it is. These will be uploaded to a photo album on Facebook called Dr. Stalker. Law enforcement can take this, turn it into a person, to an IP address and a person, and find out. Law enforcement can find out who opened this fake account to arrest a crime victim. It's a crime to arrest the victim of a capital attempted murder. And then opening up these fake accounts and then just track the guy down and start asking him questions, And so, and I did Google and I found the Mark P. Jones. He's a political science professor at Rice University. I don't know if this is the guy or that's who they used or whatever, but that was the one Mark P. Jones I found. And what he didn't know, I was BCC is blind carbon copy. Every time I was replying to Mark Jones, I was copying the Chief of Police, Price Robinson, the Department of Justice, the U.S. Inspector General Horowitz, and they since removed or emptied this email address, part of the cover-ups, I'm sure. And then Major Creighton McGee, who's over Company E of the Texas Rangers over this area. And so they were getting each of these emails. They already had these emails. They could track that down a long time ago and find out who this guy is because he's a main player. 9/16/17, another made-up email address. And I highlighted some interesting things. Only one under this name. One thing he asked, how are all the murders connected? And so that's one of them things right there where your teenager son's going, you can't prove it. What do you mean you can't prove it? I'm dad. I don't have to prove it. But it's just saying, hey, whether you did it or not, it don't have anything to do with if there's proof or not. This guy is saying that they're connected, right? He's going, but you can't prove they're connected, but they are, Either way, why don't you move and just be done with all this? Okay, so all of his crap on, oh, you're crazy and all that stuff. If I'm crazy, I'd be crazy anywhere, right? Right? I mean, so what would it have to do anything with the house? It's a statement that directly says it has everything to do with this house. Multiple people said there's an underground facility. That's where I believe the oil show parties were held and where that girl was murdered in 2010. And I've over and over, I show them where different people, 5, 6, 7 different people are talking about the tunnels, the facility, etc. Post them all the time on here. And so, of course, they want me to move. And that's a violation of the Hobbs Act. There's another reason to arrest this guy right here. Because you're trying to entice a person to move under the threat of death. Okay? And so, all right. So now let's go to the next Teddy Gaines, next one. And I don't have nothing highlighted because all this is just crap. It's out there. He's making up science fiction stuff, and he's trying to cover up trying to meet me and pay me off. And then I posted that out there in public. And then he come up with the backup plan. The backup plan, I'll tell a whole bunch of lies and then say everything's a lie except for Keith Thurman's email address or whatever, So you can come read that later. There was, I think, 20 of these or something right here. One thing was interesting. Teddy Gaines is the one that sent me a screenshot showing me that Keith Thurman was in jail. So that's how we know it. Keith Thurman wasn't sending them emails. Keith Thurman was arrested for capital attempted murder. You're going to hear on this phone call where Keith says that he feels like he was framed with April Chandler helping being in the framing. It's incredible on this phone call. You hear this, but he was in jail. So, and I think it was his email. So somebody had access to his email address. And so all them out there, you can see how many. This guy's a psycho stalker, man. Every time I'm going, don't contact me again, and over and over, another account and another account and another account, And that's what you see on TV about them psycho stalkers, And, okay, and this is for Keith Thurman right here. And that was September 18th, aggravated assault with deadly weapon. And at the time, I had no reason to not believe that wasn't true. Actually, at the time, I thought this was the guy. When I saw that, I thought, this is the guy that shot me, okay? But after I talked to him now, I'm like, no, I don't think so. You're going to hear a whole different story when you hear this phone call, okay? And then the last one we already seen, and I hit the highlights on it already. And that's where he goes, I made everything up. I'm all of them or whatever, So that's Dan Connor, and that was part of the cover-up. Okay, and then so we get in a month later, and this guy on Facebook right here, this is a fake profile. Once again, fake profile. I feel sure it's the same guy. I don't have proof it is because he didn't admit to that. But it seems like he mentioned Dr. Stalker and certain things he said made me believe that we're going to find out this guy goes back to the same guy. It's the Mark Jones, Keith Thurman, Dan Connor, George Washington, Ken Williams. And you're going to see that. And that made up birth date, maybe that's clear, maybe not. But there's the key thing. Law enforcement can use that to track back to a real person, okay? And, okay, this is Ken Williams' friends. That was that fake one. We have one mutual friend, Zeph Daniels. Zeph Daniel, does podcast blogging, and I have a podcast I made for him. And so, and then he also has a lot of the Indian friends. Makes you wonder, maybe he's an Indian doctor, made me wonder. Okay, this is my Facebook post. This was Ken Williams. This is when he got blocked. I am the secret police. Do you see how it sounded just like the other stalkers? So I think it's the same guy once again, especially when you looked at the dates. The date was almost the next, it was just a few days after all the 37 emails. The same guy, Ken Williams, and once again, so we're gonna tie them back all to the same guy. Here's what's kind of interesting: Ken Williams' profile, and right at the top of his friend was Chad Tubb. I did a Google or a Facebook on Chad Tubb, and that is a guy here in Midland. So evidently, Chad knows who the real Ken Williams is. Ken Williams is probably a made-up name, obviously, but Chad Tubb seems like he's a real person, and he knows who this guy is. Okay, so there's your first clue. He works at the Midland County Horseshoe Arena Pavilion Amphitheater. So I got a feeling Chad Tubb knows who the stalker is. Okay, and so there's a clue. And then here just recently, this is in April of this year, there's another guy that comes in, and notice the names are almost alike. Ken Williams, Michael Williams, and you're going to hear on this phone call, I'm going to let you listen to, you're going to hear the name Williams again, and it's a police officer that was with April Chandler that had arrested Keith Turman, and I was told he was out of Hobbs, and his name was Williams, so that's kind of interesting. And so once again, there's the URL. Find the owner. I bet you're going to find this guy. Law enforcement can do it. I can't do it. You can turn that into a person. You're going to find it. This guy is Ken Williams, and it's also the 5 stalkers. And so if anything, you arrest him for stalking, right? And then we can find out if he's the breaking into homes, killing people. Okay, here's a mutual friend list. So somebody on this list and these are Odessa people mainly, they know who this guy is. And we're going to find out in a minute, this is the picture of a guy that's not alive anymore, that died in Odessa. And that was the name of him. So it's a fake profile that the stalker made up. But these are real people, okay? I think this Kelly Bennett's the only one that unfriended me when all this happened, So I wondered if Kelly Bennett ain't the guy, but he only has one picture, So that's kind of a cheesy, and he has a whole bunch of mutual friends, And so there's some clues for law enforcement, whatever. And let's do another one. Okay, there's a birth date that might or might not be a clue. Sometimes when you're filling out the form and you're creating a fake ID, maybe you put a date that you're familiar with, And then it was a friend of mine that did a Google reverse image search and found that Michael Sean Williams died age 39 over at October 28, 2010 in Odessa. Now that's an interesting timeline because that's right when the 2010 oil show happened, or right around the same area, and that's when that little girl was murdered. I was told about, or the girl was murdered at the oil show party for refusing to prostitute. And you might think that an oil field compressor mechanic might be an oil show or oil show party. It would kind of make sense. He was born on September 7, 1971. And because his name's Michael Williams, the other guy, and he's a real person, and another guy was named Ken Williams, right? And then so that real possible the stalker, whoever he is, has a connection back to these people. Here's a Shelby Williams and McCamey, and some other names and all that. So that's there too. And then, but I have no idea who that is. That's not what I wanted to do. Okay. This phone call come in private caller, so I can't verify it was him. But it sounded like on the phone, and you're going to hear that, at 1:42 a.m. It woke me up on 5:26. Just happened. This is new stuff. But things he said, like he went to school with Chris Mertz, and Chris Mertz is a landman that threatened me. And so that's like verifiable information that sounded like it was the real Keith. So this is an interesting phone call I want you to hear. And he woke me up. I said, hold on, I went and got my phone.
I noticed on your Facebook you put my picture up and said that I was emailing you.
Well, I'm not sure I have your picture because I don't even know what you look like. A person with...
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Okay. A person with the name Keith Turman, spelled Turman, landman, at something I don't even remember because I'm not at my computer. It was emailing me,
Yeah.
and that was that was actually the same person. I don't actually think that was Keith. I don't even know who I'm talking to right now, but I don't think that was the real Keith Turman. Okay, I think that was somebody else that stole that email address, because that same guy contacted me on about 4 or 5 different other names, and then he admitted that he was the same person. I nicknamed him the Stalker. Okay.
Okay.
And actually, I've nicknamed him Dr. Stalker because of some of the things that he said in these different emails. And so the first emails come in as Keith Turman, landman at GMX something whatever. And then I posted them on my Facebook, or actually a friend of mine posted them on my Facebook because I got blocked. And then so I started getting emails from a Mark Jones, and then from a Dan Connor, and then a George Washington, and it seemed like there was another one too. But each one of these I was sending to the chief of police, to the sheriff, and to the Texas Rangers, because I have a feeling this guy that's emailing me is connected to the crimes against me, which of course include a capital attempted murder.
Wow.
And at the time, though, when I was getting these emails by Keith Turman, or by that name, he actually emailed me a print screen showing where Keith Turman was arrested for aggravated assault with a deadly weapon or whatever. But either way, it told me that he was in jail. The real Keith Turman was in jail. And the other thing about it is, this Stalker is what I call him, mentioned a woman's name and having the password to an email account. And so basically, I'm having to piece it together because I'm on this side and this guy's, playing these games, basically. And my best guess is he stole that ID. He that was a real email account, and he had access to the password. And so he was emailing me under that name, and until my friend posted what was wrote on the internet. Okay, and then that's when he come up with a plan to start making up all kinds of stories. Okay. And so there's a lot of different clues. That's how I put it. A lot of different clues that come out of it, and some of them I post a lot.
Oh.
And one of them is that he said he went to medical school in the 70s and learned how to fake X-rays. Now that's a very important thing to me, because I have proof that my X-rays were falsified when I was in the hospital.
Your Facebook, that makes sense.
Right, yeah, and this guy wrote me and told me that same guy that was this. Now, I mean, the reason I know it was the same guy that was using Keith Turman and Mark Jones and all them other is because he told me in an email it was, okay? And so I have a whole list of these emails. He also told me that he just happened to mention that he was a big Kansas City Chiefs fan, okay? And he made some comment about, I'm a Dallas fan or whatever. But what the reason I picked up on this comment is because after I was shot from under a cabinet. This is an incredible story. But I found a Kansas City Chiefs cap under that cabinet. And I knew it had to have been left after I was shot, because I pulled that cabinet out I was shot from, and there was concrete there. And I think that concrete was poured in the 3 days in between when I was shot and the secret police were caught in my home, and then the only known entry by police, the official entry, 3 days later. And so that explained why they waited 3 days, before the official entry, is because it's pouring concrete. And the evidence shows me I was shot. 2 weeks before I was shot, I had called the DEA and reported the suspected tunnel. And I can prove that, And I mean, I know for a fact I shot under that cabinet, and I found that Kansas City Chiefs cap under that cabinet. And so I took that as a big clue, that this guy.
That's them trying to be a smart ass.
Huh?
I feel like that's them trying to be like a smart ass, or act like they got away with something.
Well, so far they have got away with it, but some very serious crimes have gone on here, and I mean, just what.
Can I see why I'm calling you real
Yeah, sure, go ahead.
So, I was arrested for aggravated assault. You were correct, but I was framed. I was arrested by a police officer named April Chandler.
Okay, I'm very familiar with her, right?
I've never met her before, but I was doing land work with a coworker. We got more or less an argument, and he told my identity and pretty much tried to falsify documents in my name. And so when I confronted him, he pulled a gun on me, so I left. And the next thing I know, I'm being arrested by April Chandler and Detective Williams.
Williams, is that
Yes, sir.
it? Okay, I'm not familiar with that.
Well, he's from Hobbs.
Really?
Because I've been to your Facebook. I don't want to make you freak you out or anything, but
No, I mean, I mean, many people. I've had 2 million views on videos. And you know, I mean, I just let you talk about April Chandler. You know, my story about her, right?
right. And so, while I was in jail, the county jail, I had a friend tell me that, you know, people were emailing you with my name, Keith Turman,
Right.
and that's impossible if I'm in county jail.
They had your password.
Right. So now, I've got to figure out some way to fight this.
Well, see, and the thing is law enforcement can track that, and that's why I was forwarding them emails to the chief of police, to the sheriff, to the Texas Rangers, because I wanted them to trace this guy, because
I feel like they're in on it, though.
huh?
I feel like they're in on it.
Well, I mean, I'm the crime victim, I mean, I'm the one shot and left for dead in my home, living under a death threat.
Yeah.
And and as far as April Chandler goes, I mean, I have caught her lying on police reports. She was under the secret police in my home. Police reports show she's not even here, right?
Well, I hired a private PI, and he did a background check on her, and he found paperwork on her that shows that she's receiving large amounts of money.
That makes a lot of sense, because I mean, I felt like she's on the tape.
But a local cop doesn't get some of the payment of like $50,000 at a time.
Right. Well, I mean, there's something big going down here with the, I've always suspected human trafficking. I've had multiple people tell me there's an underground facility near this home. I believe it's connected to the death of the last homeowner, Mike Lawhon. He died 2 weeks before I moved into this home. And then, like I said, I have absolute proof, without a doubt, April Chandler lied on the police reports.
I think there's one under the North Walmart, too.
And
That's where I was doing landman work there. And the minute I started trying to lease that out for drilling, for royalties, that's when all this stuff happened to me. I was told to stay away from it, and I didn't.
Interesting. See, I have several landmen, I don't know if you know this, that are on my suspect list, okay?
Right.
And I don't know if you're familiar with that, but
Tell me some names, and I'll tell you if I know them.
okay, well, let me tell you, 2 weeks before I was shot, okay, I was shot on January 28, 2012, okay? On January,
I
but,
think you're very strong for what you've been through and what you're doing right now.
well, I give God all the praise and glory, He's my strength, but 2 weeks
Yes, amen.
2 weeks before I was shot, which is January 14th, and to keep this in perspective, my first call for somebody breaking my house was 14 months before, I was shot. And so these crimes had gone on for 14 months, but 2 weeks before I was shot, I noticed somebody was trying to come into my bedroom, and I was concerned because I had actually just tear gassed my attic, okay, and I got them good, I heard them coughing and everything, and then so I was worried about retribution, and then I noticed somebody's trying to come in my bedroom door inside my home, and I locked the door, bolted it shut, and I put electricity on the doorknob. I used to be an electrician, okay, and I'm here in this room, and what I was worried about was they were going to kick the door in and kill me, because I believe that's what happened to the last homeowner, okay, because I found the door kicked in or whatever. That's another story, but either way, I stripped the hot wire and I wrapped it around the door handle on the door to build a safe room to protect myself, And this isn't a what if could be. There was people in my house trying to come inside my home, trying to come in my bedroom, okay? And so they didn't get in, of course. They wasn't quiet that night or whatever. And 2 weeks later, my phone lines are cut and I'm shocked, okay? And you know, it's obviously premeditated. And then the secret police get caught on camera and all that. Well,
I forgot to think they were coming up against a survivor like you, though, sir.
well, like I said, God gets all the praise. Well, it's a miracle. These are smart people who had it planned out, you know, and it's a miracle I'm alive. But but then I got to thinking after I'm out of the hospital about that night on January 14th. So I went searching the obituaries, and I found where this landman attorney died on the same day, on January 14th, and his name was Matt Hyman. Okay.
No, that's obituary?
In the Midland obituaries.
Okay.
Okay, and so his name is Matt Hyman, well known here because he was a landman turned attorney. He worked for Choate or whatever, you know.
I knew him.
Okay, you knew him, and so you know, he was 33 years old, and he died. You know, and that's all I knew is he died on the same day.
We suspected he was doing fraudulent stuff as well.
Okay, let me finish this story. So I posted on my Facebook where he was, where I asked the question if he died in my house. Okay, well, his sister-in-law, former sister-in-law, was my nurse. Okay, and she's on my Facebook, and so she's like, "Oh no, it wasn't him," etc. or whatever. Well, I started asking her questions, trying to eliminate him. You know, because like if he died in a car wreck, I knew it wasn't him. You know, or whatever, right? And so I'm like, "How did he die?" And she says, "Oh, he had a heart failure. Nobody knew about it." Well, you know, that's what electricity will do to you, right? It causes heart failure.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I'm thinking, well, what time did he die? Because if he died that morning, it wasn't him, you know? And then so I asked her what time he died. Oh, he died that evening. He was sitting at home with his wife, just him and his wife, and he died. And that was the exact same time it happened. And so,
Daytime or nighttime?
at nighttime, on the evening of January 14th. And so, I mean, all it did was further, you know, confirm what I suspected. And so I posted this whole story out there on Facebook, and then two of his friends threatened me, and both of them are laying man, okay?
Well, I have access to seismic charts and stuff, and I looked at that North Walmart, and there is what it looks to be like a facility on the back side of towards the Kingquick side. And it looks like it goes back towards those apartments, but that field right there behind the Kingquick, that's where it ends.
Okay.
And so when I was doing all this, I questioned it, and then all of a sudden I started having trouble.
Interesting.
But if there's a facility there and there's one at Home Depot, they could be connected.
And, well, you know, see, even, you remember when they shut down the Walmarts, right?
Yes, sir. That's whenever I really started having problems.
Yeah, they shut down 5 Walmarts across the nation. That was one. Well, you know, I mean, I had reported a tunnel, you know, and I live a half mile away here behind the Home Depot, you know.
Well, I approached Mayor Morales about this because I was receiving strange phone calls and not death threats, but just telling me that I needed to back off.
Okay.
And so when I questioned that, because I wouldn't get anywhere in the city, I mean, I just had all types of hell to pay.
Oh, let me finish that story. The two of his friends threatened me. Matt Hyman's friends. One of them, both of them are landman. One of them is Brian Hillman.
I know Mr. Hillman.
Okay.
You know his brother John.
Yeah, and he married the widow. Okay, he married Matt Hyman's widow or whatever. And
I thought they had been screwing around before.
and he was very, very rude, you know, and then threatened to sue me, etc. And then his buddy or another one was named Chris Mertz, and Chris worked for my company DCP.
I went to high school with Chris Mertz.
See, and he worked for DCP Midstream. And see, Chris called me crazy, and when you call me crazy, that's an automatic sign that you're involved, because I got pictures of a secret police game, right?
The same Chris Mertz that went to Lehigh?
And the golfer, okay?
Yeah.
Yeah, that tried to go out on the pro circuit and all that. Yeah, because he went to work for DCP Midstream, and he was on the same floor. And basically, he threatened to whoop me. And I got print screens of all this, okay?
Do you know his parents hit a jackpot in Vegas one time on the slot machine? and then they were involved with drug stuff after that. So it was crazy.
Is that right?
Have you ever heard the story about how they wanted to justify?
No, I don't know nothing about him really.
Well, he can be very dangerous. His dad was served overseas, and his brother's a doctor. So I'm wondering if that's connected.
Wow. Okay. You know, you probably read it, and it's a big deal. That ex told me, and she was a nurse, and she told me with 100% sincerity, a couple weeks before I was shot, she said, the secret is a group of doctors are killing people for profit. What she didn't tell me was her brother-in-law was a doctor, and he was my doctor at the hospital the night I was shot.
Wow.
Okay, so I'm up at the courthouse, and I'm pulling property records looking for the past owners of my home, because I figure somebody used to live in my home knows something about it being rigged with underground access, right? And an underground facility and all that.
Do you think they're running sex slaves and drugs?
Well, and I think. Well, I mean, I don't know that, but I think sex trafficking, human trafficking, had a lot to do with it in the beginning, and now maybe they shut it down because of all the publicity. But it's possible drugs were involved. But anyways, I'm at the courthouse, and I'm looking up the past owners of my home, and I find where a company named Abbott Development had the land, and they sold it to Tabor Construction, which is no longer in business. And then so I noticed Tabor Construction had a address on Mark Lane, 3217 Mark Lane. And so just
Do
for
you think Sheriff Painter's involved in this?
most likely, yes. Yeah, I think every elected official in town is.
Yeah.
And anyway, so I just happened to look up the deed history for that home over on 32-7 Mark Lane that Tabor Construction, the builder of my home, owned.
Red brick house?
And
Is that the red brick house?
I think it's on the corner there, Wadley and Mark Lane.
Yes, sir.
And but when my mouth fell open, the ER doctor used to own that same property. That was the brother-in-law of the ex-wife.
Indian doctor?
Huh?
Is he an Indian doctor?
No.
Okay, I thought maybe Caucasian sometime.
Yeah, no. Well, and I don't really know, to tell you the truth. I've never. Well, maybe he is. I don't know. Okay, let me take that back. Maybe he is. You know.
You know, whenever they arrested me, I would not sign paperwork to April Chandler trying to get me to sign. They held me in restraint care for a week straight with no food, just water.
Wow.
Signed paperwork.
Dirty.
So what I've done is I've contacted state officials. I've been in Austin the last 2 weeks with a lawyer. I've spent all my money, mortgaged my house, and I'm going to fight this.
Okay.
Because I'm tired of these people like you and myself being screwed over.
Well, and let me tell you what. I've got the evidence on April Chandler. She should not have been a cop. She was caught lying. She was caught sneaking in my home. She was caught lying on the police report, and she's the last person to have now stolen evidence in this capital murder attempt. April Chandler is probably the one. April or Matt Davis stole evidence to cover up the murder attempt of my life, and I have the paperwork showing that.
Well, that's my livelihood is her.
Yeah, and so by the time she arrested you, she shouldn't have ever been, and just recently I hired a private investigator, and within the last week or two, I got the names of all 11 police, okay, and you've probably seen that if you've been looking at my Facebook last few days, but amazingly, the first one to arrive at my house after I called out was Deputy Sheriff, Martin County Sheriff John Woodward.
And he was involved with Painter back in the day with drugs, wasn't he?
I don't know. I don't know all that. I'm not from here. I'm from Hobbs, And, I transferred over here with DC Midstream. I was a 25-year employee, and I bought this home, And so then I'm here a couple of years, and Mike Lawson dies 2 weeks before I buy the home. And then a couple of years later, I figure out somebody's breaking my home, and that's really kind of where it started. And then, but now I'm looking back. This was done a long time ago. And see, here's the other thing. The other thing about this is 2010, I was dating a woman that I worked in the same building as me in Clay Desta. And she told me about this young girl being murdered at an old show party. Okay?
Mary Dunn.
Huh? No, Haley Dunn's a whole different story, okay? And I'll tell you the Haley Dunn in a minute, but she said a girl was murdered at the all-show party for refusing to prostitute. And I was dating this woman at the time. I mean, when she'd get off work, we'd come to my house, and she would leave here and then go to this, wherever the party was, and it was 5 minutes away. I have reason to believe it's in the underground facility I was told that is near my home. I was told it's a half block from my home. One person said it was 4 3-bedroom homes that each costing over $1 million, 25 foot deep. Okay, I've got that recorded on a phone call. But multiple people have told me underground facility. Anyway, that's where I believe this young girl was murdered at for refusing to prostitute. So there's my other connection with Landman. Okay. Huh? And there's one more Landman. Let me throw his name out there. Okay, I met him at a park right here in my neighborhood, and then he just acted.
Well, I'm going to shut it out right there, and really amazing that he never called back, you know, but it sounded like the real Keith Turman to me, and I'm sure he wants to see this. I mean, it was so incredible that I thought, I wonder if he's still alive, you know. I mean, I know he wants to see the information I just posted. Y'all share this story. This is really important. Talk to you later.